make sure that you follow along. Everybody good? All right, great. So if we start off with the first page, I stapled it to it, but these are all of the social media sites that you can find Tinkerbell Enterprises on. So usually what I do is I record my sessions, and if there's anything that you missed or maybe you want to review, they'll be up within a week on my YouTube channel. But that's the only platform that gives a long enough presentation so that you can actually review the material we're going over today. And if you ever have any questions, my card is here in the front, but it's also on all the social medias, and you can reach out to me there via email or phone. I prefer phone, just so you know I'm still a call me kind of person. Text is good, but if you call me, you're going to reach me quicker. So the first thing we're going to go over today, because we're nearing the last quarter, in the last quarter of the year, and obviously the next year brings taxes, is we're going to go over this that says senior tax advantages and other info. I know some of you may not work, but even if you don't, I'm sure you have kids or grandkids that do. So this doesn't only just pertain to you all, but also to anyone that you may know that is working. Okay, so the tax benefits for retiring in Florida. Does anyone know that the age that they consider a senior citizen is 60? So it doesn't have it here, but if you haven't already joined AARP, AARP is something I joined a long time ago. Actually, I was 45 when I joined with somebody else. And it gives you great benefits, and you have a lot of advantages, much more than AAA or anything else, because they also have a towing service. But they give you a lot of advantages. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just letting you know that that's something that you all can look into. All right, so Florida has no income taxes, we all know, but some people actually work outside of the state, and then they get caught up when they're going to do taxes as to how they're going to file that, and you're going to have to file for both. You're going to have to file for Florida, and you're also going to have to file the state taxes for that state. So one federal with 2 states. Florida, no tax on whatever state you're in that does carry a tax. All right. And so a lot of you, I don't know if you've already retired and you had an IRA or you had a 401k, one or the other. A lot of those products were great way back in the day, and there wasn't anything else that was being explained to you. But you still have a chance, if you're under 70 years of age, that you can switch that 401k or that IRA to an insurance product. And there's lots of insurance products, not just whole life, but UILs is the best one, that will take that money and give you a guaranteed 4% return, no matter what the market is doing, and up to 10%. Right now, because interest is so high, all UILs are paying 7.8%. Okay, and so that's something that, if, like I said, not just you, but your kids could look into, because they might be wasting their time with just a 1% match or whatever it is, but they're not really getting the return that they should be getting, because nobody's giving them 7.8 match on whatever money they have in their retirement plan. So that's one of the things that is very important, and it's a tax advantage as well, because it's a write-off. Okay, it's a write-off for everyone, just like an IRA is. A 401k automatically shows on your W-2, but an IRA does not. So obviously there's limits to IRA, that's how much you can put in. There's no limit to an IUL or an insurance product as how much you can put in to get a deduction. So if you're still in business, there's also products that cover your business, if you're self-employed like I am, that will give you a huge deduction on your business side, because you get to deduct all of the premiums, and on top of that, you get to deduct whatever you're putting into that savings part of it. So that's also something that's interesting. I know it's complicated. Again, you can call me anytime, we can discuss it, and whatever is going to work for you, I'm happy to help. Okay? As far as homestead exemptions, we don't have that here, obviously, in this part, but if you have any children that do, and they want to have you come live with them at some point, there is a granny tax exemption they can take on top of their home tax exemption, where if they build a small house for you in the back, and they have you living there, or stating that you're living there, then they get an additional $5,000 to $10,000 exemption as well on top of the homestead exemption. So that's another advantage. In addition to what it's here, actually, I'm just going down the list if you're trying to follow where I'm at. Right here is how does the 5,000 property tax exemption in Florida work? Okay. And then if you are going to sell your house here or anywhere else, this is not considered real property, so they don't really fall under the guidelines. But any other property that is sold, there is a $137,000 cap where you don't have to then use the money to flip it into another property if you're single, or $249,000 if you're married. So that's something that you want to keep in mind, maybe for your kids, that if they are going to sell, I know everybody's tries to sell at some point, that they have to stay below that. If not, then anything over that amount gets taxed on their income tax, like if it were income. Unless they do a 1035 exchange, which means you took that money and you completely put it into another property. Then whoever's doing your taxes has to do those forms, and they get away with not paying taxes. All right. Okay. Now it says, why do you need? Don't stop earning just because you stopped working, and that was something that I just covered. So if you stopped working at 62 and you did early retirement, just know that that's the same amount of money you're going to carry over no matter if you live for another 30 years or not. It doesn't go up at all if you retire early. So they always encourage, or we as tax accountants encourage, that you go to the maximum amount of time. And as of 2024, if you all don't already know this, my age group is going to be a 70-year age for maximum retirement. It's no longer going to be 65 or 67, depending on whether you're a federal employee or not. So, since it is going to be eventually 70, then that's even more of a reason to not take an early retirement, because that money is going to be very little. And then it's not going to grow with you. So the inflation keeps going, but your money stays steady. All right. So if you want to look into how can I retire in Florida with just $3,000 a month, if any of us are lucky enough to be getting $3,000 a month from Social Security or Medicaid, you're welcome to go to this website, and it'll show you all of the different things that you can do to save, so that you can actually stay within that budget of $3,000 a month. I can tell you right now, I've been working since I was 15. And unfortunately, only W-2 wages count. So I've been self-employed for 20 years. So even though I've been working for 35 years, those 15 were W-2, but the other 20 were not. So there's a bunch of money, and you're going to see it because one of the examples from Social Security is my actual Social Security example, where it shows a bunch of zeros. That's because I'm self-employed, and none of that money counts. So someone like me that has a 1099 definitely needs a good insurance product, much more than an IRA, because an IRA I'm capped at only saving that $7,000 a year, where you can't live off of $7,000 even with great interest. So you need to be able to have the right insurance product where you can put as much of your money as possible in there, grow it as fast as possible because the interest rate is high. Okay, so there are two parts to insurance policies, just so you know, so that we're not confused. Yes, they're insuring your life, so if anything happens to you, or if you get dismembered, or anything happens to you, because there's travel riders, there's all kinds of medical riders you can add to it, that's the insurance part of it. But the actual IUL part of it, which is the Indexed Universal Life, that's where you're getting money to save. And that's where you're going to be able to get the guaranteed 4% and up to 10% of your money. So I know that none of us have a bank account that is paying 10%, even 7.8%, I'm sure. Unless you have some stocks and they're paying you that, and that's great. But you're also then taking chances and risks. This is guaranteed. Okay? After I'm done with this portion, I'll ask you all if you have any questions before I continue, because I don't want to lose you. So the next thing that is important is a trust. So a trust is a document that you can actually put all of your valuables in. That includes your property, your vehicle, jewelry, anything that's appraised, even artwork, savings accounts, and insurance policy, anything that you have of value, period. You can put it into a trust, and then that you're the managing partner of that trust, and should anything happen to you, all of those items don't go to anyone but whoever is listed as a beneficiary of the trust. All right, so there is some information in here if you want to see the types of trust, irrevocable or revocable. One means that it stays the same no matter what. Once you write it, you can't change it, and the other one you can. All right, and if you want some information on those and asset protection, I gave you a website here, which is for elderly affairs programs. Those are just for people that are 55 and over, but really more for people that are 60 and over, and they will help you with that kind of information. But I do the trust if you need one ever. Usually a trust starts at around $1,000 because of the amount of items you're putting in, but it could go higher than that if you have, people that have an airplane and 7 homes. Is not going to be the same as a person that has 1 home and 1 vehicle. So, it can go up from there. All right, so.